So, and you just, if I'm hitting areas that you know your team is all over, they understand it, then please just stop me. I think because where I want to get to is how individuals and students, especially, can use that read the web feature.
Uh-huh.
Because where a student can dive into their learning management system like D2L and how they can use Kurzweil in any setting,
Okay.
but also touch on the image reader, which you tell me if you have a background with that, if that makes sense to you. And
A little bit. Yeah, I've seen it.
okay, okay, then I'll just kind of go through. But if I'm hitting areas you know your team is really understanding, then just say, hey, move on, sir. And I figure I'll wait for questions. I think we have some other people on the call. I thought I heard beep in. So if they have questions as well, especially those in the field, then
Uh-huh.
I'll leave some time to take care of that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's all across the board. We
Okay.
have a lot of
Okay.
new team members, and then we've got a lot that have been with them for 15 years. So.
Okay, great. I'll hit both of that too. The first thing
Okay.
that I want to note here is the question that always comes up is how do you get content into Kurzweil? And
Sure.
one of the things, I was just working with a voc rehab person about an hour before this call, and so what I showed him is I had a PDF right here, and I did this at 1:54, Kent. Okay, just so you you know the timing of this.
Okay.
It's a 40 page college document, and
Mhm.
I chose to go to File, Print, and within
Uh,
Kurzweil on the Windows side, there's this Kezi virtual printer. And
sure.
when I printed that, I just want people to see this. Um,
Can I hear you right now?
what's that?
Can the other participants hear you right now?
I don't know. Is anybody else on hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. Good.
Just making sure
So
other people are there, not just watching a blank screen with no audio.
right. So what? Because this is going to be useful for people in the workforce too, because PDFs are being shuffled back and forth. But you can do this with a Word document. You can do this with any document. And then Kurzweil asks me, how many pages do you want to recognize? Um, and when I pressed OK, by 156, so I started this at 154, the newest version of Kurzweil has a much richer OCR experience. This
Okay,
this translated 40 pages by 154 to 156. So in 2 minutes, 40 pages were OCR'd and became accessible.
great.
Um,
Neat.
at, so at and that, when we're talking to people that have a 15-year experience with Kurzweil, that is a dramatic increase
Yeah.
in making
Okay,
that text accessible. Now,
okay, good.
another option. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I just said good to know that.
Yeah. So another option is if somebody needs some text, they don't need it all converted. They just want to be able to. They want to just be able to get a little bit of that content read to them. They don't want to go through the conversion process. What I did right here is chose the image reader. Image reader will grab any text out of any document and bring it up into this separate text here to read. I didn't grab all of that text correctly up here. So if somebody is using Outlook and they want their email read to them real quickly, they can use this image reader down
Okay.
here. And that, let me just emphasize, that is on the PC side. I'm sure all of you around assistive technology know that the Mac side is still behind uh, the PC side in
Right.
accessibility. I accessed that when you install Kurzweil. It's not there right away. Windows doesn't play that nicely. I just have to right click on my taskbar and then I can go down here and choose, or my toolbar, and choose the Kurzweil taskbar. So that is a very helpful device. Again, getting content in Kurzweil. Kurzweil will open any digital content, but in those experiences where somebody doesn't need it converted, they don't need the writing tools or the highlighting tools within Kurzweil. They could go to the image reader to gain access to that content. And in that image reader, you can type as well. And I'll show you a practical application for a college student in a moment. Now, I just want to have people here for a little bit, a couple of the different voices that have come with Kurzweil since our newest edition. We used to have it was Paul and I forget who else were the main voices. All of these now are the a cappella voices, so they're the highest quality, except for Microsoft Anna. She just comes along for the ride because it's Windows. Um, so I'm going to choose Will here, but these are all high quality voices. I did go and install other languages. I don't know if this is going to be relevant to you, Kent. All of these languages have text-to-speech support with them. So if you were to translate a document from German, you would choose the German voice, and you would have Klaus, our German reader, read that, and he would read the German then perfectly, as if a German with a German accent.
Yeah.
Students just kind of have fun with that. But I'll have just so your gang can hear the some of the quality of the voices.
So who's on right now?
There are
What was that, Kent? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just asking who was on right now, just to get an idea of kind of what their level is with the Kurzweil.
Okay, yeah,
Corey,
let's make
on?
it.
Carolyn Bass from Washington County.
And what's your experience with Kurzweil? Are you a new user or an experienced user?
I would say new.
Okay.
We don't use it very often here.
Okay. Anyone else on right now? On the phone line? Okay. So, yeah, maybe just some of that stuff that we talked about, just go over your Firefly, right? And then some of your features that you're talking about. And we can post it. I think a lot of people will view it later off our streaming.
Absolutely. Absolutely, no problem. So please, if you who is a new user, if you see something up here and you say, well, what's that? What's that? Just stop me and say, slow down, sir. You're going way too quickly. Because I have Kent here, so I'm kind of used to. I know Kent has some background with it. Well, let me emphasize this: when you're wondering what is the best assistive technology to use, if somebody simply needs a text reader, I honestly wouldn't recommend Kurzweil. Although Kurzweil has the highest quality voices, there's so much more within Kurzweil to make it more meaningful for somebody. There's plenty of free options for just a text reader. So the first thing right here is it's called visual tracking, where a student with ADHD or somebody that just doesn't read well, it'll highlight the sentence. I have that chosen right here, what to highlight. You can choose a variety of different features there, and it's going to track the word that's being read. If a student becomes more and more adept at reading, for instance, somebody with dyslexia, this is not an exaggeration. I just had a school tell me, Corey, our students, they have some students that are complaining that they can't turn it up fast enough because they're able to now absorb so much content. They just can't. They have dyslexia, so they just can't read it on their own. So to dive into it, if you're positioning this with somebody, the things that I typically demonstrate will say, okay, so it reads the text to you, and tell me if you want to hear some more voices. It reads the text to you. It provides a quick definition that will be read to you, and alternatively, it'll give you a synonym, so for a quicker definition. Right there, you went from just a reader into more of the comprehension tools. And Kent, would you say, should I demonstrate translation, or is that something, do you work with, for instance, a Hispanic population that might find that useful?
Some groups might.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you show that real quick?
Yeah, there's a real quick translation tool where you can choose to bring this into, and I'm just going to pick Spanish because I work with a lot of groups that are working with Hispanic students. And because it's in bold, let me just show you this. Because it's in bold, it will also have the text-to-speech. So I translate it into Spanish, and then I can have that read.
Hay manchas de sol en color gris sombrío.
So that's a feature that is especially helpful for students in school who are
Oh, great.
learning English. Yeah. Um, and so from there, I'll dive in a little bit deeper. I'll explain the voices, how to navigate through the pages. This is the text, what's being, the Zoom. And then I'll show, this is good for professionals in the workplace or with students as well, just some of the quick highlighting features. I'm using two colors just to demonstrate that this is a main idea, this is perhaps a supporting detail, and then I'll quickly show you can extract those, you'll, when you demonstrate, you always go back to this extract feature. I can extract notes and highlights. I'm just going to press OK, and now it gives me a separate text document. I could tile those vertically, and now I can work with these side by side, for instance. Take some content and drop it over there if need be.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a nice study tool. And then when I jump into Firefly, I'll show you how I'm going to save this now to the library. I'm going to save that to the library, and this is where I'm going to be. This is now universal cloud storage on our servers. Okay, so now I'm moving into the cloud, and I'm just going to save this as Kent so I remember it.
Okay.
And I'll just come back to that later. So just to emphasize, it's not. I could have saved it on the computer, but it's saving it in the cloud. And this is just it's just a text document. It can be opened in Word. It can be opened in, anything that will open a text document. Taking a little longer to save than what's typical. And you can. That's strange. I hope we're not experiencing internet issues, right? Well, I am streaming. We're streaming now and then using.
Oh,
Yeah, that creates a little bit of a delay. So I'll always demonstrate that. Honestly, I'm not quite sure why it kept it all over on the left here. That typically doesn't happen. But in here too, you can type in here. You can type notes, and what I didn't press my button. I have to press a button for you to hear this. But what that did is it just read back to me what I typed, and I'll show you that in a moment as well.
okay.
So let me exit out of that. I'm not going to save that. And so from here, that typically gets most students' attention or somebody that has to take notes on what they're reading for their job, for instance.
Okay.
From here, I might show that you can throw a text note in there and type in the text note, and that'll just read back to me. It said type. And I can delete that real quickly. So I'll kind of skim over a few of these tools. A lot of people ask me what the voice note is for. Honestly, it's more of a teacher tool. So if I click this right here and I hit play, now I'm recording my voice, and whatever I say will be here, and I can put that where I want, double click it, and it will, whatever my voice said.
Hit play, now I'm recording my voice.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a nice tool for teachers. A couple reasons. One, they can give verbal instructions or really verbal encouragement. This is a hard passage, you can do it. And then they might occasionally give a student the opportunity, hey, I want you to give a verbal answer at the end of this paragraph. Yeah, just differentiates things for the student.
Okay.
I'm going to delete that though. And I'm going to just show you one more thing. I'm starting to do what we call feature dump, which is just give you one feature after another, and nobody can keep up with that.
That's great.
But I do want to just show, because you always go back to this extract feature. I can also extract to what's called column notes. I'm opening a new file because I can build on this if I so choose. Has my main ideas, my supporting details. I can rename these with an easy right click. I can grab and drag information in here, and I can type in here. And okay, I'm pausing because that's reading back to me. Didn't want. And from here, if I'm building towards a writing assignment, now I'm focusing on the student a little bit more here, clearly. I can, once I have my column notes built, I can extract my column notes to an outline, and now I have an outline. that I can add to, create subpoints. I'm in this writing tool now. Going to go to my brainstorm view, giving it kind of came up goofy, but now I can add to my ideas this way. And anything I add to here, for instance, if I add some subpoints to this idea, I'm hitting 1, enter, 2, enter, it will go back and add it to the outline. So it keeps creating my outline until I'm ready to write. I click the next. It kind of goes in this linear fashion. I split the screen, and then I can type in here.
Now I can type.
So I have mine set up so that when I hit the period, space, it'll read the sentence back to me. This is where I get especially college students and people in the workforce who have to write and communicate, but maybe have dysgraphia or they just don't write well. They'll either write in Kurzweil, or they'll copy and paste their even an email before they send it, so that they can hear it themselves first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I'm trying to emphasize it's much more than just a screen reader. It has a lot of extra tools in it. Now I went through that at 100 miles per hour. Forgive me, Kent. I just had a cup of coffee. So if there are any questions at this point, or anything else anybody wants to see, I'd be happy to go over that. I mean, within Kurzweil. Okay.
Right.
So here's what I'm going to do now. I am going to jump to this Firefly portion. If somebody was to, and now the big difference here is you can purchase a standalone, you install it, and you own it. You decide when you want to upgrade. The web subscription here it's a subscription. It's a yearly cost for an individual or a school. And what comes along, you still get the installed version here, but you also get this Firefly, this web application. So I am just logging in to a web page. On this web page, you now can, if this is an individual, there would just be one folder, the individuals folder. This is my name, Corey Navas, and if you remember, I saved those notes, and I called it Kent, and now I'm accessing it from the cloud.
Oh, nice.
So now if you had a tablet, if you were working across multiple devices, you can share content by using the cloud storage.
Okay.
What's nice about Firefly, there's something very nice about it, but there's something. This was not. This wasn't. I wanted to open those notes that I showed you. I thought that's what I pressed, but maybe not. Here is what's nice about Firefly is it's simple. A student can quickly see, here's my options. I can change voices. Here's all the voices I can use. What is going to be highlighted while I read, go faster, slower, where the toolbar is. I can still look up some dictionary definitions, and I can do translation with all the same translations from Firefly. What's going to be very important for Kurzweil is when Firefly starts integrating writing tools, so that somebody from their tablet can take some notes on what they're reading. Now I'm heading back to my library. This is my cloud storage, and just from the if you're interfacing at all with teachers and you want to show them something about Firefly, one area I would recommend showing them is the reporting feature. Click My Account Reports. I pick a date range. I throw those in there, and then I'm able to run a quick report on how often somebody's using it. And then
Great.
I can look, so if I'm a teacher and I have several, I can dive into individual students, download that into an Excel spreadsheet, if that's what my school wanted me to do. So, here we got Debbie's coming in now. Hello, Debbie. Oh, no, she's probably hasn't called in yet. And for some of the students you're working with, they're going to have Bookshare accounts, I'm sure, if they have a learning disability. What's nice about Firefly and Kurzweil, the installed version, is you can open a book right from Bookshare, and that will go into your library. So that was a quick tour of Firefly and kind of how they work together. Let me see. I wonder if I accidentally renamed this file. Yeah. Shoot. When I was naming that note file, Kent, I was in the textbook, so I named the textbook Kent instead of the notes. That was because what I wanted to show is a student can, if they got their notes. What's great is they don't have to lug out their computer or go to the kitchen table. Notes on their phone with a flash browser and have their notes just read to them.
Great.
And again, for those of you just joining, this whole session is being recorded. So, but if you want me to, I'm just deleting that text file, deleting some of this stuff here. If you wanted me to dive into anything in particular, I don't mind rewinding a little bit. One other quick feature, if you're dealing with, well, it could be any that you're dealing with. I'm going to just highlight a couple words, show you one tool that is newer in Kurzweil, which is the highlights to a vocabulary study guide. So I'm going to extract these, open a new note file, and it's going to pull those words and their definitions into a separate file. That it's a nice, slick way to create a vocabulary study guide for a student. I'll just erase those. Okay, pausing for a moment for any questions.
Good.
Okay. No questions?
No, not for me.
Okay. I want to then show you one more feature that is becoming, increasingly important is from adults to children being able to access a web page well. So within Read the Web, so if I have Kurzweil open and I click Read the Web, your browser opens, and this is where I'm just going to be real explicit. Firefox is the browser to use for accessibility. It's open source coding. It just plays much nicer with text readers. And what I'll do is, because you're going to deal with some college students who maybe are at a college without Kurzweil, I'm going to open a learning management system that is going to be pretty common in your experiences, D2L. So this is where a student is going to have to log into. It can be Blackboard, it can be Moodle, it will be the same experience. They have to log into this to get their content from their professors. As when I entered it through Kurzweil, what I'm able to do now, you see, I can just click right next to the word that I want read.
13. President Obama signed into law the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act, VAWA.
And what I'm able to do is now this web page is accessible to me. And this doesn't have to be, it can be any content a student needs on the web would be accessible this way. Back in the old days, you used to have to copy and paste and put that into Kurzweil. You can access it right now. If there is a piece of content from a web page, and I just had a parent ask me this, and I want my child or the student to use the tools within Kurzweil, that is when you can go to File. You can print that because you want to do some highlighting or something. And when I use that Kezi virtual printer, it comes up into Kurzweil, and it asks me, how many pages do you want to recognize? And now that whole web page will be opened up into Kurzweil to make access to the tools. And it does it. So a professor is going to ask a student to read an article online, and that student may want to save that article with their notes that they've added to it, highlighting, adding their own notes where they want to type in some of their own notes. Does that make sense? I went through that fairly quickly too, but I'm saying there's two features to it. One, the text is now accessible to the student if they just need this read. It also has the additional feature of being able to print into Kurzweil so that you can save that as a separate document and hold it. I did, because this is a topic that comes up over and over again, because all of these students have to now work with discussion boards. And so somebody wanted to know, how does it work with a discussion board? First of all, whatever somebody has written in there and posted, for instance, here's accessible. Oop, I jumped out of there. Right here. So it's now accessible to the student. If they want to add content, I'm going to start a new thread here, and I'm going to just so that's not being read right now. If I want to, here I'm going to type in my content. Oops. Yeah, it doesn't let me. I'll just use it up here. So I'm going to type in my content. What should the student now do before they post this? Because Kurzweil and no text reader will read it like this. You use the image reader. You capture that text. It just read read type. But what I want to show you is that you get that box to pop up. I don't know why it's not doing. It's not. There's that like this. So if I grab some text, and now when I'm writing in the discussion board, I write in here. It reads it back to me, and then I copy and paste into my discussion board when I'm satisfied with my answer. That's just the way it works because it's an embedded within the web page, and I can't get that read back to me. Does that make sense? It's just a common theme that's going to come up when you're working with college students. That's why we have the image reader. The image reader will read anything online, even if it's flash embedded coding content, which is really not that accessible. The image reader would make that accessible.
Okay, great. So could I ask you a question about importing materials in there?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the biggest questions we get is, say you have a 10-page document, what's the best way to get it into Kurzweil? I mean, of course, there's the scanner. There's other ways to do that. What do you find is the best? I mean, can people, maybe just use a scanner app, take pictures, and then send it over to their computer, like with an iPad or something? What are you finding people are using the most to get, say, 5 to 10 pages of material into Kurzweil?
And you're being like your print material, correct?
Yes.
Yep. You're exactly right. If they have 5 to 10 pages of print material, they really don't have access to a scanner that's easy for them to get to. I still think a high-speed scanner will work, but exactly like you said, if they can get an image of that, either through a picture from their phone, a picture from an iPad, email it to themselves, that'll open up right in Kurzweil. Will open image documents, quickly perform that conversion, and now it's accessible to them.
Okay, great. So would you need the image viewer for that? For a JPEG, I guess you would, right? It will convert to JPEG.
Yes. If I just go to File, I would go. It's a multiple step process, which we always want to avoid with working with students with disability or people.
Right.
But they would take that image and they'd email it to themselves. They'd get it on their hard drive somehow, and they'd open it. And I'm just going to see if I should have an example of that ready. I don't.
Just wondering how JPEGs would work.
But yes, it will open a JPEG and convert that
Great.
to make it accessible. Um, that's the essence of what I was going to go over, Kent.
Okay.
But I don't want to leave you leave you disappointed if I didn't dive into anything new or anything that would be helpful to you.
No, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something else. I'm looking at all your icons up there.
I'm curious about the fees associated with this.
Well, right now, if an individual is going to purchase Kurzweil, the installed version, without any relationship with your organization, it'd be $1,400, $1,395. And that's where over time, I really want to work with you, Kent, to get. There's other Voc rehabs that have, should we just say, more robust pricing options, and that because 1,400 is a little bit cost prohibitive, I think. If they do the web version, it's for a single individual, it is $700 a year.
$700 per year.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's multiple year discounts with the web option. So if somebody wanted to get 4 years, I think it's like $2,100 instead of $2,800 or $1,900 or something. I'd have to do the math.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I have any more questions.
Yeah. So and Ken,
covered that pretty well.
if you for some of your team, if are you able to share my contact information, or do most people funnel things through you to me, or is it something where it would be good if they had my contact information?
Yeah, I can send out your contact information,
Okay.
so they can contact you directly with any questions about the features or pricing or
Yeah.
anything as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, and just make sure, because I have to mention the 1,400, but if
Right.
if that is an issue, that's something I can work on to
Okay.
reduce that.
So you have
And
different pricing. I'm sorry. You have different pricing for school districts and things like that.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. The like anything, volume purchasing creates. For instance, a whole school site, let's say of less than 1,500 students, can have access to Kurzweil for $4,000 a year, up to 1,500 students. So when you think that an individual has to pay $1,400 for, that doesn't seem.
yeah. So a couple years ago, I think we bought Read and I'm sorry, is that a bad word?
Hey,
Kurzweil.
hey. No.
and I'm sorry, but this will go back. We bought a copy of Kurzweil for every single team, and so each team should have one. And then we have some of the mobiles, correct? I think I'm pretty sure on a flash drive.
Oh, okay. So you know what I might do for you, Kent? Tell me if this would be helpful for your team, if it's even practical, because you need to demo it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can sign you up for a free web license version, and even though you're going to be usually demoing the installed version, your team is as long as you're willing to do this, they can share that login information, and you can show the installed version as if it was a standalone using the web license.
Oh,
And
great.
and you don't need to purchase that. So everybody can install it on their own devices, but the only thing you're going to be doing is you're all going to be logging in using the same login credentials, and that's no big deal.
Perfect.
Yeah, multiple people can do it at the same time. It's not a problem.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Yep.
Because the teams like to try it out, of course, and then try it with the students, and
yeah, exactly.
That's key there for sure.
Yeah, and there's no reason you guys should have to purchase that.
Okay,
and
yeah, that'd be perfect.
Unless you really want to.
Right.
So give me an example, like something that would be easy for a username that would make sense to everybody.
Probably just UATT, Utah. That's the Utah Assistive Technology Teams.
Okay. UATT.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then as a password, I'll make something like the exact same thing, UATT.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be
And
fine.
I think it has to be 5, so I might do UATT1 or something like that.
Sure, that'd be fine.
Okay. So what you'll get, Kent, is an email saying you've been activated, and then you'll have the login credentials, and there's going to be a link which you can just give to your team members that will allow them to install Kurzweil on any device.
Okay, great. Yeah, that'll be perfect.
Okay, very good. Happy to.
Okay, yeah, then I'll share that with the teams, and then I'll provide your
Yep.
contact information.
And before you, I'll give you an email with the link for the recording, and my telephone number had to change just yesterday because of a colossal error by our provider. But anyway, so you'll have my updated contact information then.
Okay, that'd be perfect.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ken, for organizing this, and for those of you that jumped on board, I hope it was worth your time.
Yeah, great. Thank you for your time and the information.
Yeah, you bet. You guys have a great evening.
Okay, sounds good. You too. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Bye now.
Yeah, bye.